Hello cinema lovers, welcome back to Rogue Cinema. The 80s were the golden age of horror. It was the decade that gave us unforgettable nightmares, masked killers, cursed houses, unstoppable monsters, and franchises that seemed destined to live forever. Every studio wanted its own horror icon, and for a while it felt like these legends would never die. But time had other plans. Many of those once dominant franchises slowly disappeared. Some were buried by poor sequels, others became victims of changing audience tastes, a few were simply forgotten. Yet, one franchise refused to stay dead. In 1981, The Evil Dead shocked the audience with its raw energy, relentless gore, and wild imaginations. It evolved into the fan favorite Evil Dead 2, embraces dark comedy with Army of Darkness in 1993, then seemingly disappeared. For nearly 20 years, the franchise rested in silence. Then, in 2013, Evil Dead returned with a brutal reimagining that proved this series could terrify a whole new generation. A decade later, Evil Dead Rise in 2023 became both a critical and commercial success, reminding the world that the Deadites were far from finished. Before proceeding further, we would appreciate your help and love by subscribing the channel and sharing this video with your family and friends. And now, in 2026, the nightmare continues once again with Evil Dead Burn. But after more than 4 decades, can this franchise still deliver the terror, blood, and madness that made it legendary? Or has the fire finally begun to fade? Let's dive into the vital view of Evil Dead Burns. Director Sebastian Vanekek delivered ambitious set pieces and several inspired sequences, unleashing enough brutal carnage to satisfy horror fans. The jump scares are intelligently placed and genuinely effective. However, the film ultimately stumbles with a weak plot and a clumsy final showdown that fails to deliver the payoff it promises. In its relentless pursuit of shocking and grotesque moments, the story often takes a backseat, leaving the emotional and narrative impact underdeveloped. Acting. The performances are redeemable overall. Though Evil Dead has never been a franchise where audience expect deeply layered acting. Lucienne Buchanan is decent and leaves a good impression despite her limited screen time, although her standout moment was already revealed in the trailer. Hunter Duhan has very little to do beyond portraying an awkward, largely helpless character. Tandi Wright brings genuine emotional weight with her natural and convincing expressions. The standout performer, however, is Sohaila Yaqub, who carries most of the film with confidence, delivering long takes effectively and excelling in the physically demanding climax action sequences. Script, screenplay, editing. The script feels uneven in the opening act and takes time to find its rhythm. It also needed more context around the protagonist's abusive relationships and the cult mythology. While hints of trauma bonding and emotional dependency are present, the screenplay leaves too much to the audience's interpretation. That said, the film is unintentionally hilarious. We couldn't stop laughing throughout many of its over-the-top moments. It starts slower than Evil Dead fans might expect, but once it finds its footing, the pacing accelerates dramatically. From there, the relentless chaos and gore rarely let up. Dialogues. The dialogues are fairly generic with a few memorable catchphrases sprinkled in. They serve their purpose but offer little that's truly memorable, which is pretty much what you would expect from an Evil Dead film. Technical work, sound and cinematography. The technical department is where Evil Dead Burns truly shines. The sound design feels fresh, with French electronic and film score duo Double Dragon experimenting successfully to give this installment a distinct sonic identity. The cinematography is undoubtedly the film's greatest strength, glorious, visually striking, and consistently beautiful. While the film isn't built around deep character arcs, it compensates with immersive visual storytelling. The dynamic camera work, rich color palette, and grotesque body horror creates a captivating experience, with warm reds and oranges contrasting against cold blue to give the film a bold and memorable visual identity. Impact. Evil Dead Burn has emerged as one of the most polarizing horror films of the year. Many top critics have criticized its lack of originality, forgettable characters, and uneven direction. On the other hand, longtime Evil Dead fans have embraced exactly what the film offers: brutal action, a simple no-frill story, inventive gore, and unapologetically over-the-top violence. Whether you enjoy it largely depends on what you are looking for: a compelling narrative or a wild, blood-soaked horror spectacles. Altogether, Evil Dead Burn deliver almost everything fans expect from an Evil Dead film: brutal kills, relentless gore, terrifying Deadites, buckets of blood, and a dark, oppressive atmosphere that keeps the tension alive. The practical effects are a major highlight, giving the film the gritty, visceral feel that has always defined the franchise. While the story may not break new ground, the film succeeds as a stylish, unapologetically violent horror ride. Overall, we give 65% to Evil Dead Burn. It doesn't try to reinvent the franchise, and it doesn't need to. Grace us with your views in comment section, and please support us by liking this video. And if you haven't subscribed the channel yet, you're probably never going to see us again. And if you have, or you're going to, then you're welcome to the Rogue Cinema family. See you soon.